So, ayan, you're just going to choose one method, no? Out of the thousands of method here. And then you just summarize it, okay? So you write the method title, the unique number is the number here on the left. Page number, what's your analyte? Again, analyte is the substance being sought. Okay, ito yung hinahanap. Method of analysis, basically naka-indicate yan sa baba. Okay? And then, the type of sample size and the type of constituent. Yun. And then for the method, you just summarize whatever is written here, no? Especially sa determination part. Okay? So, yun lang. Ganun lang ka-simple siya. And as long as you provided the, yung pinaka-summarized version talaga, then you will get full points to this. Okay? So, bigyan ko kayo example pa, no, other than what I wrote here. Okay? Suppose you are going to analyze this method. Okay, ito. Total nitrogen in fertilizers. This is, yan. So, total nitrogen in fertilizers. Yun yung lalagay ko dito sa title. For the unique number, that's 970.03. Yun yun. Yung PDF page number, just for me to check, no? So, ito, page 44 siya. So, lagay nyo doon, page 44. And what else? Yung type of sample size, later natin yan. Okay, so by the way, method of analysis, ito yung Rani powder method. Okay? So, I think this is gravimetry. Okay? So, i-google nyo kung anong type siya sa apat. Diba? We have 4 types of analysis. Uh, we have, sorry, umuusok dito ng fumes. Anyway, so meron tayo gravimetric, titrimetric, volumetric, electroanalytical, and spectrophotometric, no? Or spectroscopic. Yan. So, I think Rani powder method is gravimetry. Okay? Google nyo na. Okay? Anyway, so ganun. And then for the flowchart, you just summarize the determination part. So I think everyone's kind of familiar on how to create a flowchart, of course. Okay? Kasi pag hindi pa kayo marunong mag-flowchart, so hindi kayo nag-research. Diba? May research naman kayo sa senior high school eh. So basically, summarize nyo lang ano yung gagawin na. For example, place sample in the Kjeldal flask. Okay? First box. Then in the second box, you add 1.7 grams of Rani catalyst powder, 3 drops of, sorry, excuse me, 3 drops of tributyl citrate, and 150 ml of that. So, ganun lang. And then, yung mga next step, i-summarize nyo lang talaga, no? Do not copy the word as is. Wag verbatim kasi kapag verbatim, basically copy-pasted lang yan. Okay? So, paki-summarize na lang. Sorry. I'm gonna use face mask kasi naamoy ko yung naamoy ng ipis sa community namin right now. Anyway. So, yan. Ganun lang bale. Ayun. So, yan. That's how you do summary. Basically, ganyan nyo lang. Wag yung complete sentences, no? Okay, kasi nga flowchart. Okay, so let's talk about the type of sample size. Okay, for the type of sample size, basically, just look for the statement kung gaano karami sample sa method na to. Okay, so for example, this one, place 0.2 to 2 gram sample. Okay, containing 42 milligram of nitrate. Okay? So the sample is 0.2 grams. Okay? And sabi sa na-discuss natin last time, if your sample is 0.1 grams and above, that's macro analysis, di ba? Kung naalala nyo pa. Okay, so depende sa sample size, yung yung ating tawag, di ba? Punta tayo dito, ito. Okay, so ayan. For samples whose masses are greater than 0.1 grams, then that's called macro analysis. Okay? So, apparently, ang ating grams dito is 0.2. So, this is macro analysis. Okay? So, you indicate this sample in here, and then you put in the parenthesis yung macro analysis. Okay? For the type of constituent, okay? So, this is nitrogen. So, basically, tignan nyo lang yung final unit ng nitrogen na hinahanap. Okay? So, basahin nyo yung bandang dulo. Okay. So, yan. So, basahin nyo bandang dulo. And then, sabi dito, proceed as in 955.04c, second paragraph. Check natin yun. 955.40c. 955 for ay nawala na ako. Anyway, so kapag sinabi yung final unit ng ating constituent, edi may ilalagay ka. So depending on the final unit of the constituent, you can put it under major, minor trace, or ultra trace na. So kunwari nakalagay percent of nickel, edi major constituent na lang yan. Kapag nakalagay milligrams of nickel, you can use trace, no? Pero kapag microgram, pwede na rin yung trace, no? Okay? So, ganun lang yung mga sasagot nyo. Either major or the trace, no? Nag-overlap kasi silang dalawa. Okay? So, ganun. Pero kung wala talaga sinabi, edi just leave it blank. Sabihin mo na lang na no final unit for the analyte is reported. Okay, pwede naman yan. Kasi sometimes wala ka talagang idea na makukuha. No? Okay, so just try to look for one. And kapag wala talaga sinabi about the final unit, then just indicate na lang na no final unit for the analyte was indicated. Okay? And ganun. Okay. And this is how you will be graded. Basically, kung masagutan nyo ng tama, okay, you will get 4 points automatically. And for the flowchart, just make sure it is clean and summarized. If you do that, you will get full points. Okay? So, yan. In case you have questions about this, you can message me sa MS Teams na lang. Okay? So, kapag mga questions na urgent, MS Teams na para mabasa ko agad. Okay? Anyway, let's talk about chapter 2 because in the next 2 weeks, no, starting ngayon, discuss natin to. Okay, solutions. This is chapter 2. The PowerPoint is already here. If you already have your textbook with you, chapter 2 siya. Okay? And you can download the PowerPoint file here. Okay? So, yun. So, you can scroll through the contents dito. Okay. So, anyway, I will leave that to you to explore. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, I guess we can begin. Or kung may question kayo, just type it down sa chat box, ha? Okay. And this chapter is focused on calculation. So, that means, paki-ready yung ating calculators. Okay, kasi we will use that later. Okay? So again, kung gusto niyo kumain during our discussion, please feel free to do so. Okay? So let's start chapter 2. Ayan. Okay, so let's talk about chapter 2 solutions. Okay? So everyone's familiar with solution, right? Okay. Lahat tayo familiar with solution kasi this is a form of matter, no, na kapag liquid, homogeneous siya. Okay? So that is a solution. For example, yung ating alcohol here. So this is the bottle of alcohol. This is a solution because it contains uh, alcohol and water, and at the same time it is homogeneous, no? So one requirement of a solution is kailangan homogeneous siya, meaning you will only see one phase into it. Okay? So in doing analytical chemistry laboratory, you will be dealing with many solutions, no? Maraming solutions kang hahaluin, no? That's why I want you to explore the flow charting method, no? For the first problem set para makita nyo anong mga solutions yung ginagawa sa analytical chem. Okay? And you will see there, you will realize na super daming processes, no, in preparing solutions needed in Anachem. Okay? So anyway, for the next 2 weeks, our discussion will cover the following. So types of solution and then concentration units and then dilution and solution stoichiometry. So I think we will only be able to cover up to the concentration units and the next meeting na lang yung dilution and solution stoichiometry. Okay? So ayan. So ayan. By the way, tomorrow is holiday. So ibig sabihin, wala kayong pasok sa lahat ng classes niyo tomorrow. Okay. So again, so just as I said, a solution is a homogeneous mixture. So this is one of the requirement for a solution. Because if it is not homogeneous, meaning it is not a solution, it is suspension instead, no? Or colloid, no? Kasi kapag hindi, well mixed lahat, suspension yan or colloids. Okay? So for a solution, it must be homogeneous. And there are two components for a solution, no? The solute and the solvent. Okay? So, ano yung solute? Ano yung solvent? Okay? Pag sinabi natin solute, this is the one that is present in smaller amounts. Okay? Kung sino pinakaonte, siya yung solute. Okay? But for the solvent, this is the one that is present in larger amount. Kung sino pinakarami, marami, siya yung solvent. Okay? So, ganun. And commonly in chemistry, the universal solvent is, of course, water. Okay? Commonly, usually, water. Bakit water? Kasi yun yung ginagamit natin panghalo. No? That's why sabi nga namin in chemistry, water is the universal solvent. Okay? Siya yung universal solvent. Kasi siya yung ginagamit talaga panghalo. Although, you can use other solvents, no? Pwede alcohol, no? Okay? So, ganun. So, it depends. But mostly, it's water lang. Okay? Okay, so I want you to classify if yung isang component ay solute, yung isa ay solvent, no? So, kung magbibigay ako ng examples. For example, orange juice. Tell me what is the solute, what is the solvent. Kunwari, ang brand natin is yung Tang. Okay? Tang orange juice. What is the solute? What is the solvent? You tell me sa chat box ano yung sagot doon. Okay? So, according to Kyla, solute is the Tang powder. solvent is water. Agree ba kayo doon? Yung tank po yung solute, yung solvent yung water. Okay? So, yun, tama yan. Na yung ating solute is the tang powder, na? The tang powder. And bakit kaya tang tawag sa kanya, no? And then, for the solvent, that's water lang. Okay? Bakit na nasabi that tang powder is the solute, no? In terms of mass, no? Kahit grams na lang, or even just looking at it, no? Obvious naman na yung tang powder is the solute. Kasi ang onti niya, di ba? Okay. It is just few grams, lalagay mo dun sa tubig, and then you will mix it thoroughly, no? So that hindi siya mamumuo, no? Okay. So, yan. So, solute si tang kasi siya ay uh, smaller in quantity than the water. Usually, in preparing the tang orange juice, it will require you 1 liter of water, basically 1 kilogram ng tubig. Uh, for tang powder, mga 50 grams lang yan or less, di ba? Okay. And the solution is called the orange juice. Okay? Pag pinaghalo yung tang powder and then yung solvent, okay, yung solute pati solvent, pag pinaghalo yun, ang tawag doon, orange juice. Okay? Ano pa? Ito. Ito, favorite ko to sa Mang Inasal. I don't know kung kayo rin, no? Di ba yung may sabaw yun na maasim? Okay? For example, yung sampalok mix soup sa inasal. Mang Inasal. Namimiss ko tuloy magmang inasal. Ayan. So, ano yung solute? And ano yung solvent? Parang juice lang din yan. Ano yung solute natin sa sampalok? Sampalok mix. And then, ano yung solvent natin dun? Okay? Sinigang mix. Nakakamiss, di ba? Dati ginagawa ko face-to-face. Parang after ng klase namin sa FEU. Minsan diretso ako mang inasal. Nakakagutom eh. Sinigang. Sinigang sa sampalok mix. Ito. So, marami nagsagot. The solute is the soup mix. Okay, yung powder. Sampalok mix. Okay. And the solvent is water. Di ba? Ang sarap kumain, no? Mamaya nasa ano na tayo. Nanonood na tayo ng nanonood na tayo ng mukbang dito. Okay? So, the solute is just like yung orange juice, it is the powder of sampalok mix, no? Sampalok mix. Sampalok mix powder. Kung swertehin ka sa Mang Inasal branch, no? If you are lucky enough, sometimes may gulay pa yan, di ba? Pag sinerte ka, ano yung gulay na yan? Ano nga ba? Vegetables. Vegetables, ayan. Vegetables. Pag sinarte ka kasi minsan ganun eh. No? Minsan may green leafy vegetables pa siyang kasama. But most of the Mang Inasal branches, sampalok mix lang talaga yung nilalagay. No? And then for the solvent, basically that's water pa rin. No? So yun. So that's why in chemistry we say na the universal solvent is indeed water, no? Because it is used in our everyday life, no? Even in our body, no? We have water as a media for transporting molecules or ions in the body, no? And even blood, no? May water din doon, okay? So, ganun. So, ganun, no? So, hopefully clear tayo about the components of the solution. Again, the solution is made of two, the solute and the solvent. The solute is the one that is smaller in quantity, while the solvent is the one that is present in larger quantities. Okay? And usually it's water. Okay? What we described here are liquid solutions. Okay? Liquid solutions sila. However, there are other forms of solutions. Our solution may be gas in form, pwedeng liquid, pwede rin namang solid. Okay? Yun. So, hindi lang tayo limited sa liquid. Baka isipin nyo pag solution is just liquid. No. Because the definition of solution um, is just this. Kailangan homogeneous mixture siya. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, it doesn't really pertain na dapat liquid siya. No? Iba-iba yung ating forms of state for a solution. Okay? Pag liquid, we are very familiar with all this. No? For example, ethanol in water, sodium chloride in water, yung nasa dagat, no? Kaya maalat siya. Um, the soda water, basically ito yung soft drinks. Okay? So yan, mga liquid yan and familiar talaga tayo dyan. However, for example, in the gas state of solution, um, common example doon is the air. No? Why air? No? Kasi the air is composed of many different molecules, okay? And they are homogeneous, no? Pag nakakita ka ba ng hangin, may nakikita kang molecules na iba-iba, 'di ba wala, no? So it is clear. Basically, it is a solution, no? So air is composed of nitrogen gas, oxygen gas, CO2, etc., no? Halo-halo 'yan, no? Okay? So air is indeed a solution in the gaseous state. We have a question here na, Sir, may instances po ba na mas marami po ang solute po kaysa solvent? Hindi talaga siya yung okay, so to answer that, bale, so I think you are pertaining to water. So, kasi water, for example, 70% solution na alcohol. Ano yung mixture nito? Tubig and alcohol. But since alcohol is 70%, water is 30%, parang yun yung, it begs the question, sino yung solute, sino yung solvent, no? So, although sabi ko kanina, okay, although sabi ko kanina na si water yung usual solvent, in the case of alcohol, since 30% lang siya, so we cannot really treat it as a solvent, no? Kasi 30% lang siya eh. Okay? So, water may be a solute here, no? Okay? Yan. And then yung alcohol yung majority, so it is solvent. That is if strict tayo, okay? That is kung strict tayo sa percentage, no? Okay? So ganun. Pag super strict tayo sa percentages, no? That means in the case of alcohol, since 70% ethanol to, so that means yung solvent natin would be ethanol, okay? And then yung water, which is 30%, that will be our solute, no? So, hindi talaga siya magkakabaliktad. That is kung very strict tayo sa definition na to. Okay? Kung si solute yung onte, solvent yung marami. So, in the case of alcohol, si water, that can be considered as a solute. No? Okay? That is if very strict ka sa percentage. No? So, yun. So, to answer that question, hindi masyado yan nangyayari. Okay? Kasi, for example, yun nga sa alcohol, yung water, instead of being the solvent, sometimes it can uh, fall into the definition of solute based on this, no? Okay, based on that criteria. Okay? And then yung alcohol, yung magiging solvent natin. Okay? Sir, paano po paglagpas sa tuyon substance? Teka lang, dapat. Ayan. Paano po paglagpas sa dalawa yung substance? Okay lang. Okay? Basta kung onti pa rin sila yung solute. Okay? For example, yung tubig dagat, no? Tubig dagat is not just sodium chloride, no? It contains minerals, no? Calcium, magnesium, sulfate, etc., CO2. Okay? Ayun. So, marami talagang solute, no? Okay? So, okay lang yan. Minsan marami ka talagang solute. Sir, what if sir parehas sila ng amount? Okay, so another question. So, kapag parehas sila ng amount and yung isa doon is water, edi you consider water as the solvent. Okay? So, ganun. Paano po sir kapag hindi sila paano pag pag walang water? Okay. So, kapag ganun, interchangeable na yan. Okay? So, ganun, interchangeable sila. Okay. Pero I think, no, I think sometimes you don't need to overthink this solute solvent definition. Bakit, no? Kasi in analytical chemistry, yung solute natin mostly ay in the grams to a microgram scale. Okay, usually ganun sa Anachem, no? Our solute is from grams to microgram scale, while the solvent is in liters parate, no? Okay? Naka-liters siya parate. So, ganun. So, in the context of analytical chemistry, you don't need to overthink na. Kasi, usually, yung solute natin, gramo-gramo lang yan. At yung liters, ay yung solvent natin, litro talaga. Malalaki yung flask dyan. If you recall sa laboratory yung tawag doon, yung volumetric flask, no? So, ganun karami yung solvent natin. Okay? So, yun. Wag niyo na masyado i-overthink. Baka isipin niyo, wala, baka magbigay si sir ng 50-50 o kaya 30 alcohol, 30 water, 70 alcohol. Okay. Baka mag-overthink kaya. Hindi naman ganun, no? Sa Anachem, straightforward lang tayo na pag solute, yun yung mga grams lang. And then yung solvent, yun yung liters of the solution. Okay? Liters of water. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, yan. So, don't worry, we will not dwell in the definition. No? Kasi, ang focus ni Anachem is the calculations naman. Okay? So, So, yun. So, again, going back, no? So, air is an example of a solution in the gaseous state. And then, for the solid, maraming examples niyan, no? For example, yung mga alloys natin. Alloy is yung pinaghalong metal and nabuo yung panibagong type of metal. For example, brass, that's a combination of copper and zinc. And then, for solder, ito yung pinanghihinang. Okay, it's tin and lead, no? Okay. So, yung solder, yung ginagano ng mga electrician. Okay. Anyway, trinay ko yan, na-stress lang ako. Akala ko madali. Hindi pala. Okay. So, yan. Okay. So, yan yung mga types of solution. But you don't need to memorize all these components. No? Why? Because in analytical chemistry, we are just only focused in liquid solutions. Okay? Ito lang yung focus talaga natin, liquid solution. That's why kung makikita nyo yung stereotype sa chemistry, liquid yun nandun na. Wala pala akong browser. Mga liquid yun, yung mga nakatingin sa ganun na may kulay. Ayun. Totoo yung stereotype na yun kasi ganun talaga ginagawa namin. Okay? So, puro liquid talaga yung inaaral natin sa Anachem. Okay? So, yan. So, depending on the amount of your solute, no, in your solvent, you can have a saturated, unsaturated, and supersaturated solution. Okay. Basically, this is an idea on the concentration of solution. Okay. So, basically, itong saturated, unsaturated, supersaturated, parang it gives you a hint on the concentration of the solution. When you say concentration, basically, you're just pertaining to the amount of solute in the solution. Okay? So, let's talk about saturated solution. When we say saturated solution, basically your solvent contains a maximum amount of solute that it can dissolve, no? Okay? May sabihin kapag yung maximum theoretical dami ng solute yung kaya tunawin ng solvent mo, yun yung nandun sa solution mo. Okay? Kapag unsaturated, less, no? And then, kapag supersaturated, it's more than what is expected, no? So, as is kasi in definition yan, no? Pero magbibigay ako ng example so that it will be kind of clear, no? So, example natin dyan would be yung iced tea na lang. Okay? So, let's use iced tea as an example for these three. Okay? So, initially, pag nagpatak ka ng pag naglagay ka ng isang kutsara ng iced tea powder sa inyong solution, it will be unsaturated, no? Okay? Okay. Kapag naglagay ka ng iced tea powder na isang kutsara lang sa 1 liter liquid, that will be unsaturated. Ano meaning nun? Ibig sabihin, kaya pa ng tubig tunawin yung iced tea mo because onti pa lang yung inyong solute. Okay? So, kaya pa niya tunawin yung maraming iced tea kasi onti pa lang nalalagay mo, no? Or in the context of taste, yun yung matabang. Okay? Matabang pa siya kasi onti pa lang yung solute natin. Okay? So, ganun. Matabang pa siya kasi onti pa siya. And then eventually, damihan mo yung iced tea powder, you will go into what's called a saturated solution. Okay. So saturated solution, ito yung solution wherein matamis na. Ito na yung correct na yung amount ng powder na nilagay mo sa solution. Okay? Ito yung sweet na. Okay? So this one is yung matabang, bland. Ito yung sweet na. Okay? Matamis na siya. Okay? So, maximum amount na ng solute, yun nalagay mo sa solution. Okay? Ayan. However, if you continue adding solute, hindi na matutunaw yon. Okay? So, mapapansin nyo minsan kapag super dami nyo na yung nalagay na na powder, di ba hindi na sila natutunaw? Okay? Because, ang tawag doon ay super saturated na. In supersaturated solution, this is a type of solution wherein your powders or your solids do not dissolve anymore. Okay? Ito yung point na hindi na siya natutunaw. Okay? So in the context of making iced tea, di ba nangyayari yon? When you added too much, di ba may solid na sa ilalim and then um, it doesn't matter kung gaano katagal mo siya hinahalo, 'di ba? It's still there, no? Okay? Because the solution is already super saturated. Your water cannot dissolve the powder anymore. Okay? Kasi it reached the capacity already. Okay? Lumagpas na siya sa capacity ng ating solution. So what you will do, no? Kapag meron kang super saturated solution ng iced tea, you add water. Okay? So you add water and then you mix it again and eventually you will notice that mawawala yung powder. Okay? Because by adding solvent, that means you can accommodate more solute, no? By adding solvent. Okay? So, ganun yung ginagawa kapag iced tea. Okay? Pwede rin naman buko juice. Okay? So, buko juice. Let's say yung ating solute there is yung asukal. Okay? Ako, I don't add sugar to buko juice, no? Anyway, that's bland pero that's natural taste. Okay? So anyway, so bumili ka buko juice, add water, and then pag naglagay ka ng 1 teaspoon of sugar, all of it will dissolve. Okay? Pag natunaw yan lahat, um, ibig sabihin, yun yung unsaturated. Ibig sabihin, kaya pa ng buko juice water mo tunawin yung sugar. Okay? Kaya pa niya tunawin yung sugar. So, that's unsaturated. Basically, matabang pa siya. Okay? Matabang. And then eventually, you add enough number of teaspoon ng asukal, you will get to a saturated phase. Saturated phase, ito yung matamis na and everything is dissolved. Okay? Okay. Dissolved pa rin lahat, no? Okay? Matamis siya tapos tunaw pa rin lahat ng inyong powder. Okay? However, for example, upon addition of another teaspoon of asukal, pagkahalo mo ng isa pang teaspoon ng asukal, tas minix mo, hindi na siya natutunaw. Meaning nun, super saturated na yan. Okay? Because even though gaano mo siya katagal haluin, it will no longer dissolve, no? So that's super saturated solution. The water contains too much sugar molecules na hindi na niya kaya tunawin yung crystals na yung powder natin. Okay? Ayan. In making Milo, 'di ba? Milo solution din. Okay? Okay. Ang gumagawa ng Milo solution, pag super daming Milo, 'di ba may kulay brown na solid stuff sa ilalim pag super dami, 'di ba? Ayan. So ganun, basically in preparing kape or Milo, makikita niyo yung mga different types of solution or even in preparing buko juice na. Okay? So yan. So basically, this is the characterization of your solution based on the amount of solute. Basically, ano na siya? Concentration of solution na rin. Okay? Kapag onti lang yung solute, ibig sabihin, unsaturated siya. Kapag sakto na yung amount, tunaw lahat, pero desirable na yung properties, for example, matamis, then we call it saturated. Okay? And then for super saturated, ito na yung the solute can no longer dissolve, no? Kasi hindi na niya kaya, puno na yung solvent ng solute. So it will remain solid, no? And in super saturated solutions, dito tayo nagkakaroon ng crystallization. Okay? Okay, dito tayo nagkakaroon ng crystallization. Um, Di ko alam kung nagawa nyo na to nung high school na. Okay. Pero, di ba, isa sa mga experiment ng high school is that you will prepare a super saturated solution and then that super saturated solution will be cooled down so that you will form crystals, no? Okay? Alam niyo yung tawas. Tawas is made from a super saturated solution of potassium aluminate. Potassium aluminum sulfate. Okay? Okay? Tawas. Caps lock talaga. Anyway, so tawas or alum, this is made from a super saturated solution of potassium aluminum sulfate. Ayan. Okay? Okay. So again, in supersaturated solution, nun tayo nagkakaroon ng crystallization. So sayang lang, hindi natin ito magagawa. Although you can try this at home, no, using salt. Pero ganito yung magiging itsura niyan. Kunwari may asin ka, halo mo sa tubig, as in super dami, and then palamigin mo siya. Magkikrystal siya. Like that. Okay? And this is also the reason why we have the stalactite formation. Okay? Yung sa mga kuweba. Okay? 'Di ba makikita mo doon na it's so beautiful, 'di ba? Mga natural landscape featuring mga minerals, no? Basically super saturated solution 'yon that over time crystallized, no, to form the stalactite and the stalagmite formation. Okay? So, yun yung mga nangyayari sa kuweba. Okay? So, yun yung crystallization process. No? And did you know that candies are actually a product of a supersaturated solution? Okay? Basically, gagawin lang nila, they will add so much sugar in hot water and then papalamigin nila yon. Pag lumamig yon, it will solidify, which is your candy na. Okay? So basically, candy is sugar lang na super saturated. Okay? So, yan. Okay? So, yan. So, in making solution, basically there are three processes that happen. Okay? There are three interactions. There are three interactions that happen in making a solution. Number one is the solvent-solvent interaction, solute-solute interaction, and the solvent-solute interaction. So ano lang yung pinaka-point natin dito. The point is, depending on the three interactions, it will tell you whether you will form solution or not, no? Okay? This will tell you whether you will form solution or not. Okay? For example, mantika and water. Do you think you will be able to form a solution from oil and water? Of course not, no? Because oil and water don't mix, 'di ba? Gasoline and water. Do you think you will be able to form a solution out of that? Hindi rin, no? Why? Because they don't have favorable interaction. Okay? So basically, itong slide na to, this is just about you keeping in mind the intermolecular forces of attraction. Okay? In order for you to create a solution, make sure that the solvent and the solutes are similar in terms of the forces of attraction. For example, yung solvent mo, solvent-solvent interaction, it's say London dispersion force lang. That means your solute must also be capable of London dispersion force lang din. Okay? So ito yung mga oils, no? For example, hexane and octane. Ayan. Yan. So hexane and octane, they are non-polar. They can only do London dispersion forces. So since they are similar in terms of their interactions, they will mix. Okay? Magkahalo sila. Kasi pareha sila ng interaction. What if they are not similar in terms of interaction? For example, our solvent is water. And you know water forms H bond, which is stronger. Do you think they will mix? Of course not. No, hindi sila maghahalo. There will be no solution created. Kasi nga, the interactions are not the same. May ipis na. Kasi nga nag-fumigation dito. Wag lang siya lumipad kasi may stress kayo sa akin. Anyway, so yan. Okay? So ganun. So basically, in preparing a solution, make sure that the interactions are similar or favorable. Pag polar dapat yung solute and the solvent. Pag non-polar, kailangan both sila non-polar. You cannot mix a polar one with a non-polar substance. Okay? Kasi hindi sila magmi-mix. Okay? They will form layers, which is heterogeneous in a sense. Okay? So that is the definition of this slide lang. So basically, the interactions pertain to the intermolecular forces of attraction. If they are similar, they will form a solution. If they are not, they will not form a solution. Okay? So for example, two nonpolar molecules are soluble in nonpolar solvents. Okay? For example, carbon tetrachloride and C6H6 is benzene. Okay? So yung dalawang yan, they are both nonpolar, meaning they will mix. Okay? Baka nagtataka kayo, di ba sir, CCl is polar. Okay. Kung naalala nyo yung molecular structure natin, yan. So, even though the CCl bond is polar, this bond is polar, totoo yun, kasi the electronegativity of chlorine is 3.5, this is 2.5, so difference niyan is 1.0, polar, okay? However, if you look at the geometry of the molecule, it is even, no? Even siya in all angles, no? Pare-pare silang 109.5 degrees, no? Lahat yan 105.9, sorry, 109.5 degrees yung angle. So meaning, the dipole forces cancel out, no? So that makes the carbon tetrachloride non-polar, okay? Anyway, hindi namin kayo papagawin ng ganun. Graduate na kayo doon. Okay. So yun. So just ano lang, just remember yung mga forces of attraction. Okay? So this is non-polar, meaning it will dissolve in non-polar also. Okay? For polar molecules, mahalo din sila sa polar. Okay? For example, you have your ethanol here and the water. Anong type ng intermolecular force ang kaya ni ethanol? Okay? Anyone, if you could still remember? What's the intermolecular force that ethanol can perform or can do? Ano yung sagot doon? Hydrogen bonding. Yes. So, ethanol can perform H bond. Water can perform H bond. Meaning, they will create a solution. Okay? So, yun na nga yung mga nangyayari sa ganito. Okay? The reason why they are mixed is that solution kasi sila. For ionic compounds, they are more soluble in polar solvent. Okay? Pag ionic compounds daw, mas soluble sila sa polar solvent. What do you think is the driving force? Okay? Ano kaya sa tingin niyo yung driving force for ionic compounds to be dissolved in polar solvent? Okay? Yung answer dyan is letter C. Okay? 6 letters starts with C. Ito yung driving force, no? Bakit naghahalo yung ionic compounds sa polar solvent? Okay? Ano kaya yan? Ano kaya yung letter C na yan? Pwede kayong meron po bang letter B? Ganun. Okay. So, what is the driving force? Why ionic compounds dissolve more in polar solvents? Okay? Ano yung letter C na reason kung ba't sila naghahalo? Yung kanilang, carbon? Walang carbon dyan eh. Okay. Nagbe-break yung ions, cation, ayun, charge. Ayun. Yan yung sagot. Charge. Okay? Yung charges nila yung dahilan. Okay? Or yung charge nila yung dahilan na bakit sila naghahalo. Okay? So, yan. So, basically, the driving force, no, for ionic compounds and polar solvents to mix is not because parehas sila ng forces of attraction. Magkaiba yung ionic sa polar, 'di ba? Mas malakas yung ionic, no? Very powerful yung ionic kaysa sa polar. But the only similar thing between them is that they possess charges. Okay? May charge sila. Okay? Kaya nga pinakita ko yung mga positive, negative. Okay? So, yun. So, sodium is positive, chlorine is negative. No? Sodium chloride, ionic compound. Water is polar. Okay? Polar in a sense na may charges din siya. Partial nga lang. Okay? So, when you put your sodium chloride in water, basically nangyayari dyan, the sodium gets attracted to the oxygen. The chloride ions gets attracted to the hydrogen. No? Kasi ito positive, ito negative. In the context of sodium and oxygen, ito negative, ito positive. So basically, even though they are not the same in terms of intermolecular forces, they have a common denominator, no, which is the charge, no. Para sila may charge, kaya sila nagmi-mix talaga. Okay? Gets 'yan. Okay? So, pag non-polar, it will only dissolve in non-polar solvent. Okay? If you have a polar molecule, it will dissolve best in polar solvent. But if you have an ionic compound, they are more soluble in polar solvent. You can try doing this now. Sa bahay, kuha kayo ng cooking oil and then 1 scoop of salt. Anong mangyayari? Wala, no? Walang mangyayari. When you put salt in your oil, hindi sila halo. Okay? But if you put 1 scoop of salt in water, it will mix. Okay? Pwede mo siya gawing gargle. Because they have charges. Okay? Non-polar molecules doesn't have charge, no? Okay? Kaya hindi sila talaga magmi-mix. Okay? So, galing na. Kasi yung diniscuss natin ng intermolecular force, it can still be used until analytical chem. Okay? So, ganun. Ganun ka-important yung concept of intermolecular forces. So, please do not forget those ideas. It will help you survive your entire chemistry courses. Okay, so now, depending on our solute, the solution could either be electrolyte or non-electrolyte. Okay? So, ano lang pinapatukuyan natin data? If your solute is ionic, okay? Ionic solute, meron ka, automatically, it will be an electrolyte solution. If you have non-ionic solute, you will have a non-electrolyte solution. Okay, what makes a solution electrolyte? Okay, so a solution is considered electrolyte if it contains charges. Okay, pag may charges ka, then those charged species can conduct electricity, no? So basically, kailangan mo lang ng charged species, no? Okay, kailangan may charged species ka like sodium, ion, chloride, and ion. Okay, kailangan mo ng cation and anion. Okay, so ganun. You need to have those ions, no? So you will have an ionic solution or electrolyte solution. Kapag ang iyong solute naman is non-electrolyte, then it will not conduct electricity. Okay? So, yan. Did you know that yung ating water, it really doesn't conduct electricity? Okay? Especially the purified water. Hindi siya nagko-conduct ng electricity. However, upon addition of salt, doon na siya nagko-conduct ng electricity. Okay? So, yun lang. So, ayun. Usapan namin to dati sa chem nung undergrad, no? Okay, kasi we have, deionizer. Tawag namin ng deionizer. This is how it looks like. Okay? Deionizer. Ayan. So, basically, we have this for every laboratory. Okay? We have this water deionizer. Tawag namin sa water na lumalabas dyan is DI water, deionized water. Kasi wala siyang ions, as in. Okay? So, kapag kinoryente mo yon, hindi magpapass through yung kuryente doon. Kasi it doesn't contain any ions, no? So, yan yung deionized water. And it is used in cleaning, let's say, mga electrical devices, no? Okay? So, I have a friend na nag-aayos siya ng mga computer, cellphone. Nagulat ako one time kasi pinaayos ko itong laptop sa kanya. Hinuhugasan pala niya ng tubig. So, ako nagulat lang. Hala, binasa niya ng tubig yung motherboard. Pero anyway, ang gamit niyang water naman is deionized. No? So, meaning, even though the circuit is wet, no, since the liquid uh, cannot conduct electricity, then that's safe. No? Okay lang yan. Kaya nga meron kayo nakikita sa TikTok, yung salt water is electrolyte, yes. Yan. So, di ba dun sa TikTok, yung buong motherboard, nilagay niya sa mineral oil. What do you think is the reason behind that? Kasi, mineral oil does not conduct electricity. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, pwede mo talaga siya ilublob sa tubig as long as it does not conduct any electricity. However, pag nilagyan mo yun ng asin, puputok yan. Masisira yan. Okay? So, ganun. So, when cleaning devices, okay lang talaga siya mabasa, no? As long as it is deionized water. Okay? So, ganun. Pero kapag yan ay ionized water, then it will indeed conduct electricity, which will burn your circuits. Okay? So, for electrolyte solutions, kailangan ionic compound siya. However, there are two types of electrolytes now. We have weak electrolyte and we have strong electrolytes. No? For strong electrolytes, automatic ito yung mga ionic compounds. No? Na ihahalo nyo. For example, yung sa salt water, no? That's sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, calcium chloride. Kaya, pag nakuryente ka sa dagat, makukuryente ka talaga. Okay? Okay? Kapag weak electrolyte naman, basically, you have polar compounds dissolved in water. Example niyan is tubig and suka, no? Okay? Acetic acid or vinegar, okay, is a polar compound. If you have water, patakan mo ng suka, it will conduct electricity, but not that much. Okay? Why? Because polar compounds only contain partial charges eh. Partial lang yung charge niya. Kaya yung pag-conduct ng electricity, hindi ganun siya katindi. Okay? Unlike for ionic compounds, the charges are full. Meaning, it can fully conduct electricity. Kasi buong-buo yung charge nila, no? Pag positive, positive talaga. Pag negative, negative talaga. Meaning that the electrons can really pass through. Okay? However, if you have a polar compounds, again, the reason they are weak is that because they have partial charges lang. No? Because of the partial charge. But for ionic compounds, the charges are full. Okay? Full kasi yung charges. Kaya, when the electron passes through, mabilis. Okay? For non-electrolyte, basically, ito yung mga non-polar compounds. Okay? So, hopefully clear tayo dito, ha? That depending on the solute, iba-iba yung types of solution na pwede natin magawa, na? Pag polar and ionic, you can create an electrolyte solution. Pag non-polar yung solute, then non-electrolyte yung solution. However, if you have a polar compound, it can be considered a weak electrolyte because of the partial charges. If you have ionic compound, then it can be a strong electrolyte because the charges are full. No? Positive and negative talaga siya. Okay? So ito na nga yung sinasabi ko kanina. Pag strong electrolyte, full dissociation because they are ionic compounds. For weak electrolyte, sila yung mga molecular compounds or mga polar molecules. Okay? At tandaan na, yun yung major difference nila. Okay? For example, acetic acid, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, na it doesn't fully dissociate. No? Okay? Anyway, we will discuss this arrow sa chapter 3. No? Discuss natin yung arrow. Okay? So for weak electrolyte, the ions do not fully dissociate. Meaning, partial lang yung charges talaga, no? Just as what I said, partial charges. Because hindi fully dissociated yung ating mga molecules. Mga partial positive, partial negative lang, okay? So, we will discuss more about this arrow sa chapter 3, okay? So, for now, tignan nyo lang muna siya. Okay? And these are the solutes that can create strong electrolyte, weak electrolyte, and non-electrolyte. Okay? So, yan. So, you don't need to memorize this, no? Kasi sometimes, yung mga rules na sinabi ko, they don't apply in general. Minsan, iba-iba talaga. Okay? For example, methanol, ethanol, they are polar, but they do not conduct electricity. Glucose is also polar, pero it cannot conduct electricity. Okay? Sucrose as well. Because these are non-ionizable. Non-ionizable. Okay? Non-ionizable meaning hindi ka pwede makakuha ng ions, no? Cannot be separated into ions. Hindi nyo to kakabisatuhin, ha? Cannot be separated into ions. Ayan. Ito naman, both of them can separate into ions. Separate into ions. Okay? So, yan. Anyway, we have a chapter about ions, no? Kung ano yung mga magpo-form ng ions and not, no? We have a specific chapter for that, and sa laboratory pa yan, okay? Chapter 4 yan ng lab, no? Yung acid bases, no? Doon na lang siya. Okay? Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, don't memorize this, no? What I want you to just know is yung, ano lang yung mga definition, okay? Yun lang naman yung kailangan natin. Okay? But this table, hindi na yan kakabasaduhin. Okay? So, yan. So, let's go back na. So, in preparing a solution, you need to have this apparatus. Ano tawag dito ulit? Okay. Anyone, ano tawag sa kanya? Siya ay pitchel. Ano tawag dito? So, yan ay volumetric flask. Okay. So, in preparing a solution, especially in the chemistry laboratory, you have to do it in a volumetric flask. Kailangan nasa vol flask kasi hindi pwede sa pitchel. Okay. Also, we need to be as much as possible precise, no, in measuring the volume of the liquid. Kailangan precise tayo. So that's why kailangan nasa volumetric flask siya. And remember that in volumetric flask, may isang line doon. Okay? Whatever the line is that corresponds to the volume indicated here. Kunwari 500 ml or 1 liter. Yun yung meaning ng line na yan. It only contains one graduation. Okay? So again, if you can recall yung diniscuss last week, in preparing solution in a vol flask, you put your powder inside and you add water until it is halfway. Okay, halfway through the container. Pagkalahati na siya, you swirl it, no? Swirl mo siya until matunaw siya. Okay? So, halo-halo until matunaw. Then, pag tunaw na, you add water carefully so that you will reach the line, no? Okay? And you read the lower meniscus always. Okay? So, dito, pwede maramihan, pero pagdating sa neck, ito na yung dropwise addition. Okay, so dito ka na magpapatak-patak ng water. Kasi if you add a lot, there is a high probability that that your water will shoot up dito. Pwede siya tumapon pa nga eh, no? Okay. Kaya dapat patak-patak na lang pag nasa neck. Okay? So anyway, you will experience that sa inyong biochem lab naman. Okay? I think face-to-face na tayo by that time. And also tomorrow will be alert level 2 in Metro Manila. Okay? So mawala na uli yung no vax, no ride policy. So marami na ulit ako sa labas. Okay? Anyway, share ko lang. So again, in preparing solutions in analytical chemistry, we place them in what's called a volumetric flask. Fill it halfway, dissolve the powder, and then once already dissolved, fill it up to lower meniscus. To lower meniscus. Okay. So now let's go back to the concentration of the solution. So generally, pwede na yung pwede na itong saturated, unsaturated, supersaturated. However, it is relative, no? Relative meaning depende sa dami, no? Depende kung may mabubuong solid or what, no? Okay? So yun yung relative concentrations, which is nonsense. Nonsense in a sense na wala kang magagawa out of it, no? Bukod sa may mabubuo ka lang crystals or what. Okay? So, if you want to be more specific, okay? So, if you want to be more specific, you will not use yung saturated, unsaturated, supersaturated, no? Hindi yun yung gagamitin mo. Pag specific, I am pertaining to something na may numbers, okay? Yun yung concentration unit na may numbers, okay? And ito yung mga units na ginagamit natin in analytical chemistry. We have the percent by mass, percent by volume, molarity, parts per million, parts per billion, normality, and the P functions. Sorry. Do you need to memorize all of this? Yes. Okay. Lahat ba to gagamitin? Hindi naman. Okay. So, kailangan kabisado nyo lang lahat yan, especially the equations. Pero, ang commonly na ginagamit sa laboratory ay ito lang. Molarity and the P functions. Okay? But since we need to be familiar with the others, then we will discuss them. Okay? So again, more specific to in a sense that it gives you quantity, no? It gives you number, okay? May number kasi kaya mas specific siya, okay? So let's talk about the percent by mass. So, when I say percent by mass, this is just the concentration unit in which you divide the two masses, okay? And the final answer here is in percent, no? The one written in the numerator is the solute, and the one at the bottom is the solution. Always remember that your solution is made of solute and solvent. Okay? Always remember that. No? Na yung solution mo, gawa yun sa solute and solvent. Meaning, we can rewrite the equation as the mass solute over the mass of solute again plus the mass of solvent times 100%. Okay? So, ganun ha. Okay? So, always remember, important to, that the solution is made of solute and solvent. So, whatever the mass of solution is, that's the sum of the mass of the solute and the mass of the solvent. Okay? Let's try this one. A solution was prepared by mixing 29 grams of sodium chloride with 300 grams water. Find the percent by mass of sodium chloride. Anyone. Ano ang solute? Ano yung solvent? Okay? Kasi kailangan ma-identify natin yan. What is the solute? What is the solvent? Okay? Ano yung solute? Ano yung solvent? Solute is NaCl, yes. Solvent is water. So this is our solute. Ito yung solvent natin. So ano dapat nasa numerator? Ang nasa numerator is yung solute. So 29 grams. Ngayon, ano yung nasa denominator? Okay? Ano yung nasa denominator dapat na number? So, sige. Mag-respond kayo. And by the way, ang lamig recently, no? Okay. I'm seeing different answers. Sige. Ibig sabihin, ano na tayo, brainstorming talaga, no? Okay. What is the correct answer? Is it just 300 or 300 plus 29? The answer is yung sum nila. Okay? Yung sum nila. Kasi remember, again, yung solvent, but solvent. Mali ako. Solution pala. Lutang ako Solution, sorry. Yung nasa denominator is the mass of the solution, right? And always remember yung mass ng solution ang mass ng solution ay mass solute plus mass ng solvent. Okay? So, ganun. Sorry, nagkamali ako lang. Lutang lang. Okay. So, kapag solution, it's the mass of the solute and the mass of the solvent. So, meaning, you really need to add the two sa denominator. Okay? So, it will be 29 grams plus 300 grams. Okay? Ayan. 29 over 29 plus 300 times 100%. Okay? So, ayan. We have that already. Meaning, magsasolve na tayo. Buksan ng calculator. Sabay-sabay tayo pipindot. Okay. Pwede rin naman yun sa computer niyo or cellphone calculator. So, pindutin natin yan. So, gawa kayo ng fraction using this. Okay. Gawa kayo fraction using that. And then, so of course, the numerator, 29. In the denominator, that's 29 plus 300. Tapos multiply mo yan lahat by 100. No? So, times 100. Ilalagay mo ba yung percent? Baka pindutin yung percent. Hindi. No? The percent here is our unit. No? So, nilalagay lang talaga siya. But in typing it in the calculator, you will not write the percent. Okay? Unit yung percentage. Kaya 100 lang yung ita-type mo. Okay? So this is our syntax. No? So 29 divided by 29 plus 300 times 100. Press equal sign. Sir, paano po pag ganyan yung sagot? Okay. Pag ganito sagot nyo, ang gagawin nyo? You press SD. S to D. Okay, SD lang tawag naman yun. I don't know what's the meaning of SD. Basahin nyo na lang manual niya. Hindi ko alam eh. Basta pag pinindot nyo to, this fraction here will be converted into decimal. Ayun. Yung D decimal yun. Siguro S is scientific. Okay? Gets ba yan? So again, kapag ganito yung lumalabas sa calcu, ano gagawin? Pindutin yung SD. Baka mamaya yun yung i-type nyo sa problem set, no? Wag naman. Yan, ganyan dapat. Ito, we have a question about Casio calculator na nasa desktop. Sige, go lang. Pag na-expire po siya, pwede siyang ma-uninstall tas install po. Hindi. Trinay ko yan eh. Pag na-expire yan, you really need to buy the software. Okay. Hindi siya pwede eh. Kaya ako binili ko siya. Mahal pa naman. 800 din. Parang bumili ako ng calculator. Pero okay lang. Kasi nagagamit ko naman siya sa discussion. Ayan. Pero kayo, again, sabi ko nga, kung bibili kayo ng software, wag na lang. Bumili na lang kayo ng Calcumis. Hanggang finals yung calculator natin. Mm-mm. So, hanggang finals tayo. Kumbaga, ito pa lang yung start ng pindutan ng calcu. Susunod, mas malala na yung isa-solve natin. Pero don't worry, easy lang yan. Okay? So, that's our answer, 8.81. Ako usually, I prefer answers in two decimal places. Ano? Hindi na tayo magsi-significant figures dito, ha? Baka isipin nyo, hala, baka kailangan ng proper rules. No, just two decimal places, I'm fine with it. No? Okay, so I will write the answer as 8.81%. Okay, 8.81%. Let's check if our answer is correct. Ayan, 8.81%. Don't worry, may worksheets tayo sa susunod na meeting. Okay? May worksheet, may practice quiz, no? Para ready na talaga kayo sa mga quiz natin in the future. Okay? So, yan. So, sa ngayon, isang problem muna sagutan natin. No? Next meeting, dun tayo maraming sasagutan kasi andun yung mga worksheets natin. For now, ito lang muna. So, ganun lang. Just always remember, for percent by mass, the thing in the denominator is the solution. And the solution's mass is the sum of the solute and the solvent. The next one is the percent by volume. So, bago tayo mag-proceed, it is important that the units of mass, bagong gising yung aking mingming. Anyway, yan. So, just remember, no, when doing percent by mass, the units must be the same, no? Units must be the same. Tandaan nyo yan. Okay? Kasi minsan, hindi ganun na. Merong nakalagay dati sa worksheet na ginawa ko. 3 kilograms. 3 kilograms nilagay ko. Tapos yung iba, hindi nabasa ng kilogram yan. Kaya, mali sagot nila. Okay. So, it's not 3 kilo, I mean, the units must be the same talaga dapat, no? So, if something is reported in milligrams, convert it into grams. If something is reported in kilograms, gawin mong grams, okay? So, units must always be the same. Sir, sa mga quiz, baka naman, sige na nga. Matagal pa naman yung quiz, pero sige. Siguro i-allow na namin yung balikan question. Pero onti lang time limit nyo dun, ha? 15 items lang eh. Kaya naman, kailangan mabilisan talaga kayo mag-solve na. Ganon-ganon, pindot-pindot. Okay? Anyway, percent by volume. So, for percent by volume, ganun din, na? So, just like yung kanina, the thing in the numerator is the solute, the volume of the solute, and the thing on the denominator is the volume of the solution. And again, just like earlier, pag sinabing solution, that's the solute plus solvent. Okay? Solute plus solvent. Okay. So this one, let's try to answer this. Okay. So the question is, a certain alcoholic beverage is 10% ethanol in volume. Medyo mataas yan. Pero kung sanay na kayo uminom, Pang-baby lang yan. Okay. So, yan. Dati natatry ko yung mga 40%. Eh. Parang sinusunog kaluluwa mo dun. Anyway. Yan. So, the alcoholic beverage is 10% in ethanol. Okay. So, basically, it's 2 times more powerful than your Sunmig Light. 5% lang yan eh. Okay. So, how much ethanol are there in 728 ml of alcoholic beverage, no? So, let's dissect the problem. Okay? So, ganun pinapagawa ko eh, sa mga bata ko. So, intindihan natin what's the problem. Okay? So, first thing of course is to write the percent volume equals volume of the solute over volume of the solution times 100%. Okay. So, intindihan natin, asan yung part na to? Asan yung part na to? Okay. So, the 10% ethanol is of course this one. It is the percent volume. Diba? Naka-percent na nga eh. So, yun na yung percent volume. And then, ano tong 728? Is it the volume of the solute or the volume of the solution? Obviously, it is the volume of the solution. Okay? Kasi sinabi alcoholic beverage. Ano ba meron sa alcoholic beverage? Alcohol plus water. Okay? So, alcohol plus water. So, solution yan. Okay? V solution. So, ayan. So, that's our equation. We are looking for the V solute. So, basically, you just cross-multiply everything. No? So, to solve for the V solute, ano ang equation natin? Percent V times volume of the solution divided by 100%. Okay? Hala sir, paano nangyari yan? Cross-multiply lang yan. This one will go into the numerator. Ayan, mapupunta siya sa numerator. This thing here, since nasa numerator siya, if you cross-multiply that, it will go to the denominator. Okay? So, ganun ha. Yan. And then, plug in everything. Percent V, 10% times volume of the solution, 728 ml, divided by 100%. Again, the percent serves as a unit, ha? Hindi siya yung ano talaga, percent na percent. No? Unit natin yan. So, as you can see here, the percentage will cancel. Okay? Ka-cancel out sila. And then, yung ml yung matitira. Okay? So, the answer is, pindutin sa calcu. Pwede naman i-mental, pero pindutin natin sa calcu. Kasi, tuturuan ko kayo ng ship solve. Okay? Fraction, 10% times 728 divided by 100. Again, pag ganyan, i-decimal nyo. 72.8. So, ganyan karami yung alcohol. No? 72.8 ml ethanol. That's the V solute. Ngayon, tanungin ko kayo. What's the volume of solvent? If the solute is 72.8 gram, what is the volume of the solvent? Anyone? Pabilisan. Ang first 3 na makasagot, yayaman. Mananalo sa loto. Ayan. Hey. So, tumaya ako ng loto yesterday. Tapos alam nyo ba yung difference? 1 lang. Kunwari, 33 yung number tinaya ko. Favorite ko 33. Kasi 3. January 3 ako, pangatlo ako sa amin. Mahilig ako sa 3. Capricorn ako, letter C, 3. Anyway, so yan. Alam niyo yung numbers na lumabas. Tinaya ko, 33 lumabas, 34. 47 lumabas, 48. Tapos yung isa, 7 lumabas, 6 pati 8. Stress ako. Hindi sana, nasa na ako. Namamahinga na lang ako sa aking rest house, di ba? Ay, 4 numbers sana yun, no? Magkano rin yung pag-apat na numbers. Anyway, so the answer is 655.2. Okay, 655.2. Ano yung solvent? Edi of course, water yan, no? Water yan. Pag hindi sinabi yung solvent, water. Okay? So, ganun. So, that is 728 minus 72.5. Ayan. 7. Ay, bakit naging 655? Ay, sorry, mali ata ako ng type. 728 solution minus the solvent. 72 pala, sorry. Di ba? Duling na ako. Yan. 72.5. Ayun. 655.5. Okay? Yun. Ngayon, turuan ko kayo ng ship solve, syempre. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, hindi kompleto ang aking pagtuturo kung walang shortcut. Alam niyo naman, lahat ng katamaran, ituturo ko rin. Okay? Kasi lamang ang may alam. Okay. So anyway, so how to do the shortcut, no? Shortcut sa calculator. Ano yung ship solve method natin. Magagamit nyo to until the end of your life. Pag may anak na, ituro nyo na yan. Okay? Anyway, so in creating shortcut no, or ship solve method in the calculator, basically, you will just type kung paano nakasulat yung equation. No? I-input mo yan sa calculator mo just how your equation looks like. Okay? So, for the percent volume, it's 10%. Okay? So, 10 yan. Wala na yung percent, of course. Unit yung ating percentage. So, it is 10 equals volume ng solute, hindi ko alam. So, pag di mo alam, x. Okay? For the volume of the solution, that's 728 ml. Times 100. Okay? Times 100. So, ganito mag-ship solve, no? Gawa kayo ng syntax in which this input is similar with how your equation is written, no? So, 10%, so 10 nasa left, equal sign, yung unknown, that will be x. Nasa baba, 728 kasi yun yung volume of the solution, times 100 kasi may 100 dun sa gilid. Now, how will you input this in your calculator? Okay? Ito yung biggest, kung alam nyo na, edi good. Kung hindi pa alam, edi watch and learn. Okay? So, yan. Kasi ako tinuturo ko to kahit sa senior high. Okay? Anyway. So, how are you going to type it into your calculator? Okay? So, this is my keylog, no? You will see how I will press the keys. Basically, pindutin mo yung 10. 10. Then, paano ka maglalagay ng equal sign? Ito ba yun? No. No. If you want to put an equal sign into your equation, you choose the red equal sign. Ito, yung red na equal sign. Which is yung nasa katabi ng solve. Okay? Yan ang ship solve method eh. Karamihan ng pipindutin mo itong button. So, the equal sign here is in red, no? Okay, for other calculators, iba yung kulay niya. But in my case, it's red here. So, if you want to access that, you press the alpha. The alpha button will allow you to click the red buttons. Ayun. Alpha, then press calc, you will have an equal sign into your calculator. And then for the rest, gawa kang fraction. Ngayon, x. Ano yung x na yan? Ito po ba yan? Hindi. No? Hindi ito. Multiply yan eh. So, asan yung x dito? Ayun. In the close parenthesis, you will see the X in red, no? So, yun yung pipindutin mo. Press alpha kasi naka-red siya, and then press this button, you will get X. So, alpha followed by this button, so you will have X. Okay? And gets ba yan? Sana gets. And then baba kayo. Baba, type 728. Then the rest is 100. Okay, so again, if you want to access the red buttons, you need to press the alpha. The alpha button. Kung gusto mo equal sign, press alpha equal. If you want to use X, press alpha X. Sir, can I use Y? No. X lang talaga. Kaya nga shift solve. Solve for X always, no? So, ayan. So, if you don't want to do manipulation, you can do this, no? And if you already typed in your answer, ano na gagawin nyo? You press shift solve. Kaya nga shift solve tawag dyan eh. Kasi pipindutin mo yung shift and solve. The solve button is yellow. Kaya nga, you press shift. Okay? Press shift. Press solve. Solve for X. Hindi pa yan yung sagot. Kino-confirm lang yan na magsusolve ba ako sa X. Then, if you want to say yes, press equal sign. That's the answer. 72.8. No? So, I want you to practice on this kasi magagamit natin to sa future calculations natin. Okay? Especially lalo na kapag complex na yung solving. So, that's how you do shift solve calculation. So, press mo yung alpha calc, you will get the equal sign. Alpha close parenthesis, you will get the X. And then, for your calculator to solve for the value of X, you press shift calc. That will give you the shift solve function. And then you need to press the equal sign. Okay? Kung alam na yan, that's better. If not, ganun yan. Okay? So, yan, 72.8 ml. Molarity. Okay. So, let's talk about molarity. This is the unit that is mostly used in analytical chemistry, because almost all the solutions we prepare are reported in units of molarity. Ito talagang ginagamit. Okay? So, what is molarity? Basically, this is just the mole of the solute over the volume of the solution in liters. This is very important. No? It must be always in liters. No? Okay. Hindi pwede ml. So, if yan ay naka-ml, convert it into liters. How about the mole of solute? How do you solve for that? Anyone? How do you solve for the moles? Paano sinasolve yung mole ng substance? How do you solve for the mole of a substance? That is, nakalimutan na ata. Mass over, ano yung nasa denominator? Mass over, what is the mole of a substance? Mass over molar mass. Ayun, do not forget that. Okay? Okay. So, the mole of the substance can be obtained by, remember, kapag mole, that is mass over molar mass, di ba? Yun. We can plug it into our equation. Okay, pwede natin i-plug in yan. So that means our molarity equation can be expanded as this. The mass solute, molar mass solute, and the volume of the solution in liters. Okay, we can expand our equation into this. Okay, mass solute divided by molar mass of the solute times the volume of the solution in liters. So this is the expanded form of our equation. Yeah. Okay. Natapos na siguro magsulat. Hopefully, nagsusulat din kayo because muscle memory is real. Although hindi siya scientific. I, I, I want to believe that muscle memory is real. Okay. Ah, nakuha na yan na. Sige. Let's try this one. Let's try. Calculate the molar concentration of ethanol in an aqueous solution that contains 230 grams of ethanol. The molar mass is 46.07 grams per mole in 3.5 liters solution. Okay? Hanapin daw ang molar concentration. So, it begs the equation of molarity. Okay? By the way, the units of molarity, balik ulit tayo, sorry. The units of molarity is units. No? So, it is mole per liter. Kasi nasa numerator, mole, nasa baba, liter volume. So, mole per liter. Pwede rin naman yung capital letter M lang. O pwede rin naman sabihin molar. Okay? So, ayan yung mga units niya. Mole per liter, capital M, o kaya molar. Molarity yan. Sabi dito, molar, ay sabihin molarity yan. Okay? So again, let's write the molarity equation. That's mass solute over molar mass solute times the volume of the solution in liters. I always write this thing here, yung liters, so that I will be reminded, no? Okay? So what is our solute here? Ano ba sinabi? Ito, ethanol yan. Okay? So ethanol na ilagay mo dyan. So instead of writing solute, you write ethanol. Kailangan ko po ba gawin to? Hindi naman. I am just doing this for the purpose of demonstration. No? Para makita nyo kung paano ko ginagawa. Ethanol. Okay, so I will write that so that I will be reminded na ethanol yung nandyan sa mass and molar mass. Okay? So what's the molar? Kung na-solve nyo na, pindutin nyo yung, i-type nyo na lang sa chat box. Ha? Anyway. Okay, so what's the mass of ethanol? That's 2.30 grams. 2.30 grams. The molar mass of ethanol is 4607 grams per mole. Okay. And then the volume of the solution is 3.5 no? Liters. Okay. So, yan. I will change the ink color. So, when doing calculations, no, especially kapag nag-problem set kayo, I want you to show the cancellation of units. Okay? Ito, nasa numerator. Ito, nasa denominator. So, cancel sila. Okay? Ayan. So, ayan. And then, what else, no? Ano nangyayari kapag yung isang bagay nasa denominator ng denominator? Nagre-reciprocal yan. Recall algebra. Recall algebra. Okay? Mag-algebra lesson muna tayo. So, paano magiging mole per liter yung unit natin? Kasi remember, mole per liter ang unit, di ba? This is how our unit looks like without the numbers, di ba? Gram sa numerator, gram per mole dito, liter doon. So, yung grams, automatically magka-cancel yan. Okay? Kasi sa numerator, nasa denominator. Yung mole, paano siya aakyat? Yan nga sinasabi ko. Magre-reciprocate yan. Okay? So, we can write this as, itong mole, mapupunta na siya sa numerator, no? Kapag yung isang bagay nasa denominator ng denominator, mapupunta sa numerator. Mare-reciprocate siya. It is the same as writing this, no? Okay? By the way, mamaya ko na pala i-cancel units. Okay? Ayan. It looks like this na. Ito, pwede mo siya i-reciprocate na. So that mapupunta sa numerator itong mole. Okay? And then they will cancel out, giving us mole per liter. Ito nire-reiterate ko to. Kung alam nyo na to, that's better. Kung hindi, you need to recall this. Because eventually, malala na yung math natin. So that's why I want you to really recall the mathematics na. Pag hindi nyo na-recall yan, mahihirapan din kayo. Okay? So the molarity is, gaya na ng sinabi ng classmates nyo, at pindutin muna natin para lang makita natin. Okay, so set up a fraction, 2.3, 46, 07, 3.5, equal sign, SD, 0.01426. Paano po yung sagot dito, sir? Ganito lang. Pwede siyang 2 decimal places, pwedeng 4. Pero kapag molarity, usually 4 yung decimal places natin. Okay? So, usually 4 decimal places yung hinahanap natin pag molarity. Okay? So, this can be rounded off to 0, 1, 4, 3. Okay? So, usually ang molarity kapag anachem nire-report in 4 decimal places. You can also write this as 0.143 molar. Okay? So that's up. Okay? Ito naman. I think nakikita nyo na to sa mga PowerPoint natin. Okay. So I want you to describe the preparation of 2 liters of 0.108 molar barium chloride from barium chloride dihydrate. Okay. Ito ay hydrates, no? Hydrates, ibig sabihin, sila yung may water. Okay. May water molecule sa mismong solid. Okay. So yun, that's barium chloride from barium dihydrates. Okay? So paano to? Sabi dito, yung barium chloride dito galing. Are they the same? Hindi. No, hindi sila same. Kasi ito barium chloride lang. This one is hydrated. Meaning they have different molar masses. Question is, anong molar mass gagamitin mo? Okay? Anong molar mass gagamitin mo? So, gagawa tayo ng scheme, no? Okay? Para hindi tayo malito. Okay, scheme meaning paano natin sasagutan tong problem na to. Okay? So, ayan. We are given the molarity. We're given the volume. So, first thing na gagawin natin is to solve for the mole of barium chloride. Okay? So, usually ganun. No? From left to right yung basa ng problem, di ba? So, kung ano mapunta dito madalas, yun yung isosolve mo muna. Okay? So, first thing, you need to solve for the mole of barium chloride. Kasi given na siya, 2 liters, 0.108 molar barium chloride. So, solve mo muna yung moles niya. And saan galing yung barium chloride? Sa barium chloride dihydrate. Okay? So, ang mole ng barium chloride, i-convert mo into mole of barium chloride dihydrate. Okay? But kailangan i-convert? Kasi dito galing from this. Okay? So you must know the mole of this one. Okay? And then eventually, yung mass, hahanapin mo. The mass of barium chloride dihydrate. Ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. Ano molar mass yung gagamitin mo? Okay, so basically, it's the molar mass of barium chloride dihydrate. Okay? Basta sinabi from, ito dapat yung final answer mo. Not this one. Okay? So, ganun. So, again, the scheme looks like this. Given the molarity of barium chloride, you solve for the moles of barium chloride. Then, since hinahanap sa problem is yung from barium chloride dihydrate, you need to convert the mole of barium chloride to mole of barium chloride dihydrate. And then, pag nakuha mo na yung mole ng barium chloride dihydrate, you convert it into its mass. Okay? So, that's the common scheme sa pag-solve ng problems like this. So, let's solve first for the mole of barium chloride. Okay? First step. Solving for the mole of barium chloride. So, ganito lang yan. The molarity ng barium chloride. So, that's mole of barium chloride divided by the volume of the solution. Since we are looking for the mole, we need to cross multiply the volume. Okay, so that's molarity of barium chloride times the volume of the solution. Okay, so that is 0.108 molar or mole per liter times the volume of the solution, 2 liters. So the answer for the mole of barium chloride is what? That is 0.216 moles. Okay? So that is the mole of barium chloride. But that is not the final answer. Pag sinabi kasi preparation, kailangan may mass. Okay? So, yan. So, tapos na tayo sa first part, no? So, inanap natin yung mole ng barium chloride. Ngayon, we need to convert that into barium chloride dihydrate. Ba't kailangan i-convert? Kasi dito galing yung solution natin. Okay? So, dito na tayo sa step 2. To solve for the mole of barium chloride dihydrate. Paano to? Stoic lang to. Stoichiometry. Just look at the equation. How many moles of barium chloride can you get from barium chloride dihydrate? Okay? Basically, tignan mo lang yung equation. May coefficient ba yan na 3? May coefficient ba yan na 2? May coefficient ba yan na 5? Wala, di ba? Ang may coefficient is yung water. Okay? So basically, ang stoic relationship natin dito ay 1 mole of barium chloride is equal to 1 mole of barium chloride dihydrate. Okay? So for every mole of barium chloride dihydrate, may isang mole of barium chloride ka. Okay? Ganun lang ka-easy siya actually. Okay. Baka inisip nyo, baka ginagawang complicated ni sir. No, no. Kasi there will be problems na hindi lang 1-to-1 yung ratio nila. Okay? May mga problem na may makikita kayo coefficient dito na 2. Okay? May mga coefficient na 2. Just like itong water, no? So, I want you to establish na, kunwari, ito yung binigay, ito hanahanap. You must be able to deduce the stoichiometric relation just by looking at the equation. In our case, wala namang coefficient si barium chloride, so 1-to-1 yung ratio nila. Okay, so it is safe to say na wala na tayong calculation na gagawin dito.
So in order for us to get the mole of barium chloride dihydrate, it is basically the same as the mole of barium chloride, which is 0.216 moles. Okay? Ito pala yung nakatamad din sa Anakem. Kailangan mo isulat lahat ng chemicals talaga. Okay? Ito, we have a clarification. 1 mole lang po ang whole BaCl2 2H2. Yes. Isang compound lang siya. Magkasama sila. Mm-mm. Yes po. May makikita kayo minsan na may coefficient yan eh. Okay. In our case, wala siyang coefficient. So, ibig sabihin, 1 mole BaCl2 is equivalent to 1 mole BaCl2H2O, di ba? Tig 1 is to 1 sila kasi wala naman tong coefficient. Sometimes may coefficient yan. Okay? In our case, wala. So, 1 to 1 lang yung ratio nila. Don't worry, we will have more problems like this sa worksheet. No? So, abangan nyo na lang yung worksheet natin next week. 5 minutes na lang pala. Ang bilis naman ng oras. Ito. So, pag 3 BaCl2 to H2O po, 3 moles po siya. Yes. Ganun. May times na may coefficient yung BaCl2. In our case, wala. Okay? So, you will see more pag nag-worksheets na tayo. Okay. So, ayan na. We get the mole of barium chloride dihydrate. Punta na tayo sa last part. We need to solve for the mass. Mole, hinahanap mass. So, use the equation for moles. Again, mole is mass over molar mass. You're solving for the mass. So, that's a mole times the molar mass. Okay? Cross multiply lang. So, that will be 216 mole times the molar mass of barium chloride dihydrate, which is 244.3 grams per mole. Okay, multiply nyo lang yan. I'll need to use my calculator. Asan yung mouse ko? Ito. Okay, so 0.216 times 244.3. Again, 2 decimal places is okay. 52.77. Barium chloride dihydrate. Okay? So this is our final answer. Pero since sabi ng problem, describe, hindi ka lang magbibigay ng number. Okay? So ganito yung mangyayari sa problem set niya. May mga question doon na sinasabi, describe. So hindi ka lang magsasabi na yan po yung mass niyan. No? Bale, ganito gagawin niya. When you say describe, you will need to create a sentence. No? So gagawin niyo, dissolve. Ayun, yung final na na-solve nyo. 52.77 grams of barium chloride dihydrate in 2-liter water using vol flask. May 2 liters na volumetric flask. Okay. To create ganito kayo magsusulat na. Papalitan nyo lang yung numbers and yung compound. To create a 0.108 molar BaCl2 solution. Okay? So, ganyan pag sinabi describe, gagawa ka pa ng sentence. Okay? So, we are not just satisfied with the numbers. No? You really need to type the sentence. So, kung may ganyan sa quiz, problem set, gagawin niya talaga yan. Magta-type kayo. Okay. Dissolve 52.77 grams of barium chloride dihydrate in 2 liters water using volumetric flask to create a 0.108 molar barium chloride solution. Ang pinapalitan lang dyan is this one, no? Ito lang yung mga pinapalitan. Copy-paste lang yan. As is na yan. Yes po. Ito lang yung mga pinapalitan dyan. Ayan, ayan. Oopsie. Ayan. So, ang pinapalitan yung volume, ito, 2 liters, yung mass ng substance, and then yung final molarity. Okay? So, yan. As is na yan. Okay na yan. So, ganun lang gagawin nyo ha. Pag nakita nyo sa problem, describe. Hindi lang dapat number. That may sentence. Okay? So, yun. So, I hope you learned something for now. We will continue this next meeting kasi time na rin. Okay? Next week, ay FEU founding anniversary. Let's check kung ano yung mga araw na walang pasok. No? Pero magpo-post sila most likely by Wednesday. Okay? So anyway, for now, you can practice working on molarity units. Okay? So let's check the answer lang. Oopsie. Kung gusto niyo mag-screenshot, please do so. And take a screenshot na lang. Anyway, upload ko yung video later tonight. Okay? So, just to check if tama sagot natin. Ayan. Ayan, dissolve 52.8. Dapat 77 yan. Grams of barium chloride dihydrate in water and dilute to 2 liters. So, pwede rin ganito, pero mas maganda yung ginawa ko. Kasi sinulat ko siya eh. Hindi ako papatalo. So, ayan. Ganyan na lang. Okay? So basically that's it. No? Next meeting we will continue with more problems and worksheet. No? Hopefully may pasok tayo sa Monday na para marami tayong masagutan. Otherwise, mag-record ako. Okay? Marami pa tayong sasagutan. Okay? So I hope you will study them in advance. Okay, so thank you. It's almost time. Baka may klase na kayo sa ibang subject. So I'll see you again next week. Ingat always and stay safe. Enjoy the holiday tomorrow. Bye-bye. Dong Shifat ay tomorrow. Chinese New Year. Bye-bye.